Good morning. It is Thursday, March 4th. I believe it's March 4th, 2021. I know that. I'm Thor Ramsey. I know that also. With Center Church, this is Gospel for Five, where we take 5 minutes out of our day, focus on the gospel because Jesus is the gospel. Again, we're going through the book of Proverbs. Yesterday, we ended at verse 19. Such are the ways of everyone who is greedy for unjust gain. It takes away the life of its possessors. Again, that was this whole segment from verses 8 through 19 really dealt with this theme of unjust gain and how in the end those people who are devising ways to get unjust gain are really devising ways to lose their own lives, either through death or through prison. So, again, that's the whole, such are the ways of everyone who is greedy for unjust gain. And we live in a culture that's filled with unjust gain. There's gang violence, there's mob violence, there's organized crime. That's what either one of those would be classified now as organized crime. Crime where you get together with a group of people, however few, and you organize together to get unjust gain. Now, the higher you go up, sometimes it's more sophisticated in terms of politicians who are crooked, but it's the same idea. Even those politicians who are devising ways that they will get unjust gain eventually, well, their sin finds them out. So now here is why we have in verse 20, wisdom cries aloud in the street, in the markets she raises her voice. Even in the midst of all these moronic decisions that these idiot criminals make, and let's just be frank again, the life of a criminal is the life of an idiot. Even your sophisticated idiots, everything they have to go to do. The reason they're idiots is because they think it's going to end differently for them. And that is not going to be the case. Wisdom cries aloud in the street. In the markets, she raises her voice. Now here Solomon is personifying wisdom in the streets, crying aloud. So here's the thing, that this common sense wisdom is available to all human beings. What we're going to see as we go through Proverbs that God has built wisdom into the fabric of life. Wisdom is a common grace God gives. That's why there are what we call laws of logic and laws of reason. These laws are built into the fabric of human thinking. So wisdom's crying aloud on the streets. Not just in academia. Wisdom is crying loud in the streets in everyday life. At the head of the noisy street, she cries out. At the entrance of the city gates, she speaks. And here's what wisdom cries out to every human being on the streets of this world. How long, O simple ones, will you love being simple? This is we find this, what we call it is populist thinking. It's the thinking, it's the kind of what we call pedestrian thinking. And we encounter this so much in when people have objections to the Christian faith. These objections are what they think in their minds are very deep objections to the Christian faith, are really what we call, it's just pedestrian thinking. You know, well, what about evil? Like like no one's ever thought of that. People have been discussing the problem of evil for 2,000 years. And in Christian thinking, we present many great arguments as to why there's evil in the world and indisputable arguments for the reason for that evil, and also reasons that are beyond dispute as to how to combat the problem of evil in this world. Do you want the world to be a better place? Well, we have to combat the problem of evil then. Is so evil just out there? Is there just a few bad apples? That's pretty much when you run into self-righteous ideologues, generally their view is, oh, you just got these bad apples, and there's no changing them. But that is again, false view of humanity. So let's stop there. We'll pick up wisdom's crying aloud in the streets. It's just out there. It's a common grace. God's built into the fabric of life. Wisdom. And that wisdom will lead us to where the source of that wisdom flows from, Jesus Christ himself.